also we have to ask, in those states last night, those 14 states, there are over 40 million poor and low-wealth voters. Now, poor and low-wealth Americans did not support Donald Trump. What was the numbers of poor and low-wealth Americans in those states that turned out or didn't turn out? What didn't inspire them? Some places like Texas, you had 600,000, almost an even split between Sanders and Biden. That means that there is this split in the party and the soul for aspiration. How will the party deal with that? Because that is not some clear, far victory that dismisses, say, for instance, Sanders' policies as senseless, as silly as I've heard some Democrats say, and they have to be very careful with that. The last thing is not only who didn't vote, but in those southern states, we're talking about this black wall, but are the Dems really going to fight after the primaries? Are they going to really invest in the North Carolinas, the Georgias, the Mississippi, the Alabama, Virginia, after the primaries in the general elections? Because, in the general election, oftentimes we see something very different. For instance, last time in the Clinton campaign, they left 500,000 African-American voters off the table. There was really no real effort to go after. And in all of those states, the number of poor and low-wealth people and the number of African Americans who didn't vote held the political calculus to not elect Donald Trump. They could have fundamentally changed. And I want to know, are we really seriously now going to focus on the South and focus on bringing together poor blacks and poor whites in the South? Now, if that happens, we can have a fundamental shift in political calculus in this country. You could see states like Virginia, North Carolina, Georgia, Mississippi, Florida flip in the general election. But if we're just going to deal with primary now and who gets the primary vote and not look deeper, who didn't vote, who wasn't inspired, and why, and how many black people were left on, how many poor people were left out last night, and why, then we might end up with a lot of excitement in the primary and a lot of sobbing and sadness in the general election.